to this crow pose tutorial. Crow pose is one of those postures that has a ton of different options, and there's many different ways to build strength so that you can master this pose over time. First things first, crow pose is not a pose that's like, hey, I think I'm just gonna randomly get into crow pose. It's going to warm up your body first, so I recommend practicing yoga prior to practicing this posture, or at least stretching your body, warming yourself up. Arms, legs, hamstrings, back. It's a lot of work. So you can watch this tutorial and get some tips and then practice after you've warmed up your body, or you can come back to this video after you've gotten some movement. So, because I'm just going to jump right into it. Wrists, hands, and shoulders, it's a lot for them. So it's always good to warm them up. Roll out wrists and shoulders. Make sure your chest is open, maybe do some side body stretches. That's why it's nice to do this after you practice. So let's start with warming up the wrists briefly before we get into it. Make a ball with your fist, and depending on how tightly you ball up your fist, that's how intense this will be on your wrists. And roll your wrists in one direction. I pop every single time. Then roll your wrists in the other direction. Awesome. Then do this. I call these starbursts. I don't know what the technical term is for them. They're great for warming up all 10 things. Awesome. Shake out your hands. All right. So for crow pose, this is a posture that takes lots of time. You might fall on your face quite a few times. That's okay too. I've fallen on my face many, many times while learning this pose. My crow pose practice is a bit out of practice, so you probably see me fall on my face anyways. So I'm going to start with the basic alignment of crow pose. So when we think of crow, the arms and hands are shoulder width distance apart. And what I want you to think of is chaturanga arms, so 90-degree bends in the elbows. So just look at my arms here. What we're trying to do is find strength here through the arms and really knit your elbows in by your rib cage. And we're going to be setting the knees on the back of your arms. So a lot of times what wants to happen here is our elbows want to come out. We want to try to make the base wider. This will be so hard on your shoulders, so hard on your wrists. So practice first this with me. So find a longer tabletop stance and bring your hands to shoulder width distance, maybe a little bit wider. And then from here, tilt forward to an extended plank pose. Then with elbows in by your side, bend and look forward. Again, it's small. It's hips down, gaze forward, elbows bend back, rather than out. You feel me? A good way to practice this as well is to wrap a strap around your arms and slowly tilt. So one more time, hands on the earth, booty comes down, elbows taken by your ribs. All right, so that's the foundation of the hands and the elbows into the shoulders of crow pose. One of the things that's hardest is getting your butt high enough to set your knees on the back of your arms. So I have a little trick for you. So crow pose traditionally, it can be called from a lot of different postures here. A lot of times it's coming from frog. So we'd be here, and then someone would call crow. So this would be where hands come down to the earth. One of the biggest mistakes in crow pose is that when we start to lean forward, we tend to put our head down. I want you to think of looking towards the front of your mat, so gaze coming forward. So I like to bring my feet together. I find it easier to create more space for my belly and things. So I come onto my toes, knees come wide, and then from here, I take my time getting into it. So I plant one hand on the earth and bring the back of my arm to my leg. So notice here, back of my arm to my leg. So here I'm in the preparatory position. Hands are shoulder width distance apart. My elbows are in by my side, and then you come up onto your toes, and you can stay right here. Remember, gaze forward. So this is crow pose, even if your toes are on the ground. Gaze comes forward. Maybe you play with lifting one foot and then the other. And slowly come down when you're ready. But my favorite way to get into crow pose, because it automatically lifts you higher and makes you feel more secure with putting more weight on your wrists and shoulders, is to get a block. Set the block underneath your feet. So bring toes to the feet, no. Bring your feet to the block and then come down here. So this automatically puts my feet and my hips quite a bit higher than my shoulders and my wrists. So if you see here, I can inch forward a bit. Elbows are in by my side. See my 90-degree bend? And they're going backwards rather than out. I set my legs. For me, it's just the inside of my knee. You can try to fit the knee on the back of the arm. I have too much belly and move in the way to do that, so mine's a little bit more on the inside of my leg. So elbows come into here. And then see here, gaze comes forward. See how much higher I am in the air? Toes come on the block. Remember to squeeze your elbows in by your side. And then you can play with one foot up, another foot up. Maybe you lift both feet. Maybe you fall down. That's good too. So you'll notice my gaze was towards the front of my mat. And then as you build strength, a good way to build strength for crow pose is not only core work, but also chaturangas, push-ups, those kind of things. It's a lot for your shoulders. So one more time with the block. It's toes on the block. Bring your knees wide. This can be a little wobbly, so take your time. Hands to the earth, shoulder width distance apart. Then tilt forward, bring your elbows in the back of your arms to your legs first. And then lean forward, gaze forward, tilt forward. Lift a foot, lift a foot. And then as you practice that more and more, you'll find that you build strength. And the thing is, you're gonna fall out of it a lot of times. I used to be able to hold crow for a really long time because I practice it all the time. When we get out of practice of things, our body loses some of the stability. It's not a big deal. That's the thing about this yoga practice. Everything is a practice. I'm working on my crow pose practice again. So after I finish my daily practice, I get my blocks out and I do that exact thing you just saw me do. 3 or 4 times, fall on my face. That's part of the practice. The biggest thing with practicing arm balances and these postures that are a little bit more wobbly and take a lot more effort in terms of trying again and again and again is to notice the way that we speak to ourselves when we fall out of something. So don't make yourself wrong about it if you fall out, and know that this is something that will come over time and it takes some discipline and trying over and over again. So I believe that you've got it. If you've got questions about crow pose, please let me know. You can always message me on Instagram or email me, Kady@bigbootyyoga.com. Thanks so much for listening.